You're 7 years old, and a grown man is walking toward you with a bundle of birch twigs in his fist. Here's the thing. You didn't do anything. The boy next to you did. But that boy is a prince. So the rod is coming for you instead. Welcome to the worst, best job in England. Let's back up. You're born somewhere around 1535 into a family that's noble enough to matter and poor enough to be useful, which in Tudor England is the exact recipe for what's about to happen to you. One gray morning, a letter arrives. Your father reads it, goes pale, and then does something strange. He smiles. You're being sent to court. You're going to be raised beside the heir to the throne, Prince Edward, the boy who will one day be King of England. Your mother cries. You think it's pride. Half of it is. You'll work out the other half soon enough. So you go. You ride for days, and the palace, when you finally see it, doesn't look built so much as grown. Too big to be for people. That first night, you lie in a bed softer than anything you've ever owned, in a room that isn't yours, in a life that isn't yours. And you have absolutely no idea you've just been handed the strangest job in the kingdom. In the morning, a man in a dark gown looks you over like a farmer checking a horse's teeth. His name is Richard Cox. He's the prince's tutor. Remember him. He's about to be a big part of your skin. For a while, it's a dream. They dress you like someone who matters. They feed you better than you've ever eaten in your life. You get lessons in Latin, in Greek, in how to bow to 11 different ranks of person without falling flat on your face. For about a week, you're convinced you've won some kind of cosmic lottery. Then you meet the rule. The rule is simple. The prince is chosen by God. His body is sacred. To raise a hand to the Lord's anointed is very nearly treason. Nobody, not the tutor, not the archbishop, not anyone, is allowed to strike him. Which sounds fantastic for the prince. There's just one small logistical problem. A 9-year-old is still a 9-year-old, crown or no crown. He forgets his verbs. He mouths off. He learns a genuinely spectacular new swear word and tries it out on a bishop. And in 1540-something, bad behavior has exactly one cure: a beating. So the tutors are trapped. They've got a boy who must be corrected and a boy they are forbidden to touch. They need a stand-in, a spare body to feel the pain on the prince's behalf. They need you. That's the job. That's the entire job. You are the prince's mistakes made flesh. He blunders, you bleed. And there's a real story about it, one that outlives everyone in that room. A boy at Edward's court teaches the young king to curse like a dockhand, and it's the boy who gets whipped for it, while Edward is simply told he ought to be ashamed of himself. Character building. For you, specifically. The first time it actually happens, it doesn't feel real. The prince can't get his Latin right. Cox's face goes tight. The whole room goes still, because everybody already knows what has to happen next, and to whom. Hands take your shoulders. You're walked to the front. Your heart is slamming against your ribs. Your palms are damp, and there's a high, thin ringing in your ears as you bend over the bench. And Edward, your friend, because by now he genuinely is your friend. You two share every meal and every lesson and every long, empty afternoon. Edward has to stand there and watch. The rod comes down. It comes down for something you didn't do, in front of the one person alive with the power to stop it who is not allowed to. Your skin lights up. Your eyes flood. You don't cry because you worked out fast that crying only makes it worse for both of you. And here's the part nobody warns you about. The cruelest gear in the whole machine. It works. Not on you, on him. Edward cannot stand watching you take his punishment, so he studies harder. He behaves. He swallows the swear words. Every time you flinch, he gets a little more careful, because the price of his laziness was never his own skin, it's yours. And somehow, that lands heavier than any rod. You are, essentially, guilt with legs, a walking conscience the royal household can rent by the bruise. And it raises a stranger question. If the punishment keeps landing on the wrong boy, why does everyone act like the system is working perfectly? Hold that thought. Years pass. You're 10, 12, 14. The two of you grow up shoulder to shoulder, and something real sets in the space between you. Closer than brothers, honestly, because brothers never chose each other, and you two, in a strange and bloody way, did. Then, in 1547, everything tips over. The old king dies, and the boy you have been bleeding for since you were 7 becomes Edward VI, King of England, 9 years old, on a throne, under a crown that weighs more than his own head, which means, technically, your job is finished. Nobody canes a king's companion. The rod finally, quietly, goes away. But guess what? You don't. Because here's the thing nobody tells you at 7. The beatings were never actually the point. They were the forge. Every afternoon you took for him welded the two of you together. And now the loneliest, most powerful, most heavily surrounded boy in the entire kingdom trusts exactly one person on Earth not to want something from him. You. So he sends you across the sea to France, to serve and to grow up and to see the world. And then he does something that undoes you a little. He writes to you, the King of England, in his own hand, putting pen to paper to the boy who used to bleed for his grammar, scolding you for gambling too much, telling you to behave, asking you to come home. You keep every single letter. And then, in 1553, at just 15 years old, Edward falls sick and doesn't get better. The boy king is dead, and you are left standing in the wreckage of the strangest childhood in England, holding a fist of letters and a back full of old scars, realizing you spent your entire life being shaped to absorb one specific person's pain, and now that person is simply gone. So what are you exactly when the boy you were built around isn't there to be built around anymore? If it's any comfort, you're not the only one. Run the whole thing again a couple of generations later, and you're a boy called William Murray, whipping boy to a small stammering prince who grows up to be Charles I. And when Charles takes the throne, he does not forget the back that paid for his lessons. He makes you groom of the bedchamber. Then he makes you an earl. Turns out getting beaten beside the right child is a genuinely excellent career move. But here's the cost nobody ever adds up. You were taught from the age of 7 that when a powerful person is angry, the correct and loving thing to do is step forward and take it. That lesson does not switch off the day they hand you a title. Some quiet part of you steps forward for the rest of your life. Because that rod that came for you when you were 7, for something you didn't do, for a boy who couldn't save you, it never really stopped coming. You just grew up and learned to call it loyalty.